Thanks everyone for allowing time for the fellows to talk a little bit about the things that we're doing. Yeah, I'll just move right along. So I wanted to give just a quick overview about the AST PhD program. The goal is to prepare students for high-level science and technology careers in various sectors. And the goal is to help them to be able to become independent thinkers in the various areas that are encompassed by our program. And so our program has 4 learning outcomes, and they're focused here, and you can see that they're disciplinary expertise, and then communication, critical thinking, and then research expertise. And the goal is that after completing our program, our students would be able to effectively move into a variety of sectors, hopefully academia. A lot of our students do end up going into academia. But just like the discussion that we've been having today, a lot of those students or our current students are not really particularly interested in academia. So we have our work cut out for us to for us who are here to continue on the mission of being change agents to, continue to foster an environment that is welcoming to everyone. So our program is also an interdisciplinary PhD program. So we have one PhD program, but a number of concentration or focus areas that are supported primarily by the 7 departments in the College of Science and Technology here at North Carolina A&T. But we also have students working in research programs and departments in all 4 STEM colleges here at North Carolina A&T. And so those different concentration or focus areas include atmospheric energy and environmental science. But most of the students in that concentration area focus on atmospheric science. We have applied chemistry, applied physics, bioscience with a number of different focus areas, data science and analytics. And coming on board this fall, we have geospatial sciences, we have information technology, STEM education, and technology management. And so our program recruits students either through direct entry from the bachelor's degree into our PhD program or students with a master's degree. When our program first started, so a little bit of history about the PhD program. So it was initially an energy and environmental systems program when it started back in 2005, and many of you engaged with Keith Schimmel through AGEP-NC through the Energy and Environmental Systems PhD program. Well, that program was reorganized into the Applied Science and Technology PhD program in 2018 to support doctoral studies in the College of Science and Technology when it was formed back in 2016. And so students primarily entered into that program that had master's degrees. And then upon reorganization, we were able to take students through direct entry from the bachelor's degree into our PhD program. So students have a very similar experience in the program. However, there's some supplemental graduate coursework to ensure that our direct entry students from the bachelor's program have a sufficient number of graduate coursework in their area to be competitive for faculty positions and credentialing if they choose to go into a faculty position. So that's just a little bit about our program. So the AGEP plan, I, together with Dr. Kim Pickford, who's assistant professor in the biology department. I'm actually also in the biology department. I'm not the chair. My position is a unique one in that I'm a 12-month faculty member, and the title of my position is professor and chair, but I'm actually the director of the PhD program. So I know that, so Chico Rory, and many of you know Chico Rory, he's actually the chair of the Department of Biology. And because of the nature of my position, it's equivalent to a chair, but I'm not the chair. So I get probably every day, I get probably 20% emails that are meant for Chico. So that's just kind of funny. But so the two AGEP fellows currently are me and Kim Pickford, who's also on the call today. And so what we did was to take the AGEP-NC mission and work with faculty across the different departments that I mentioned earlier in the College of Science and Technology to come up with AGEP plans that really supported the mission of the AGEP program. And that is really to support doctoral level diversity and student success for students who are marginalized in STEM, and to promote preparation of those students for careers in STEM, or careers in academia, faculty careers in academia. And so what we did was really to pick up where Keith Schimmel left off as the program director. I started here in 2021. And so the conversation had already begun, and there were, a lot of fantastic colleagues within the college and across the university had already begun to develop AGEP plans. And so what I was able to do, working with Kim leading this effort, is to formalize some of those plans that were sort of in the works. And what I did was to create a college-wide AGEP plan for the AST PhD program, which is sort of an umbrella PhD program that supports those different concentration areas that I mentioned. And then really give the departments a springboard or a foundation on which to build their programs. And so their plans. And so we were able to do this through engaging discussions with faculty across the college, as well as with graduate program coordinators who are so important to recruiting students through our master's program, which often are considered like feeders to our PhD program. So we have master's programs in all but one of our departments. And so we recruit a lot of students through our homegrown approaches here. And so we were able to refine those discussions and work with those graduate program coordinators who I meet with monthly to discuss things going on at the department level, student success, you name it, and really to help specifically impact policies within our units in our college and ultimately to support graduate students at the university level. And so what we were able to do is develop that plan, and I'll share a little bit about what that plan is and what it encompasses, and then to help departments to come up with their own really sort of plans, which you can consider sort of implementation plans of that umbrella plan that we developed for AST. And so here are just some of the things some of the elements from our plan and some of the things that we're doing. And so recruitment, as you've heard before, is really important. And we make sure that we hit all the major conferences where students who may be from marginalized populations tend to gravitate towards. We have several documents available. We have a student handbook that lists all of our policies, procedures, expectations, and that's given to students during new student orientation. And I conduct that along with support from faculty and graduate coordinators across the college. Mentor-mentee training experiences. Academic advising is the really important one. We've produced a lot of materials for targeted advising, especially for students who are from underrepresented groups in STEM. We are piloting this year for the first time a student compass milestones agreement, which really is sort of like an expectations document. You heard about that from our previous fellow. And also a doctoral committee report, because having those committees and meeting with the committee regularly is an important part to student success. And I think sometimes the old way was you meet with your committee when it's time for your preliminary exam or your proposal defense and then your final defense. But what we found is that that is not the best practice, because students may not really know what's expected of them, especially if they haven't had an opportunity to engage with their entire committee. And so there may be some confusion about what's expected of the student, and they get there and then they may not know what's expected. So I kind of quickly go through the rest of these in the interest of time. So we do use an in-house IDP, but we also encourage students to use my IDP. We created something called a doctoral candidacy ceremony, which really marks a student's entrance into doctoral candidacy after they have finished their coursework, they've defended their proposal, and they're really close to becoming, finishing their degree and becoming a candidate. And that's really important. One of the things that, we learned from our student feedback is that students, especially graduate students, don't feel like they're as considered as sometimes undergraduate students. We hear that a lot. They don't feel like they belong. They don't feel like they're prioritized. And so that got me to scratching my head about, the things that we could do to help students, graduate students, especially doctoral students, to feel more included. And so they absolutely love the candidacy ceremony where they get to dress up. And it's almost like a white coat ceremony that you see in professional schools. And so they just love it. They get a certificate, they get an honor cord, they get to invite their family and friends. And it's just really a time to focus and celebrate them. And the last thing I'll mention, and then I can take questions, is we also started the first doctoral student organization on our campus. So there's some other concentration focused groups, but really to focus on PhD student needs in the ASC PhD program. And so this is a student-led organization. They're in charge. I serve as the faculty advisor for that group. And they have been just blossoming. We partner with them on a lot of initiatives. And then they do things in the community. This past spring, this past fall, they were able to write a proposal to go to the Google conference that was hosted here, and the students themselves wrote the proposal, and they got a grant that's allowed them to support about a dozen students to attend from A&T. So they're doing a lot of things and being engaged and mobilized to take part in their graduate education. And so in the interest of time, I'll just stop there.